Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday afternoon. Hope yours is going well. We've got another Seahawks video to get to today, but first we just hit 4,330 subscribers to the channel. I want to give a shout out to all the subscribers, and special tip of the cap goes to the channel members, especially returning channel member, the Reno. And as always, the elite channel members, Brendon, Mikel, Hasher, Salacious, Crumb, Ryguy, Brendan Nelson's Haircut, VGK Tigers, It's Hoof, TVO, Austin Roberts, Scott Todd, PH Glass, Arfman, 12th Man, Cassio Feria, Samoan, JoJo, Rup the 206, Big Daddy K, and Aaron Nagel. Okay, so we had our first OTAs of the year that the media actually got to watch. And we did learn a few things, and it's worth taking at least one video to go over all of it. First, though, before I get into that, I made the Nick Gugimos video yesterday. I talked about how we released him and how it only made sense to release him if we were planning to bring in somebody else immediately. Well, we have. Per Brady Henderson, the Seattle Seahawks have signed wide receiver Travis Toivonen from North Dakota to fill the open roster spot after waiving Nick Gugimos yesterday. Now, I don't know too much about Travis Toivonen. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. So all I can really go on right now are his basic bio stats. This is a bigger guy. I think he's 6'4" and 220 pounds. He's kind of got that Chris Matthews size. He's kind of got the DK Metcalf size. So he's a bigger target for sure. The only thing he really did in his college career of note was his senior year, 2019, for North Dakota. He had almost 50 catches for just under 700 yards and 7 touchdowns. So credible stat line. You know, he played a decent number of snaps, and he got a decent number of, and he got, pretty decent action. I don't expect Travis Toivonen to make the team or make the practice squad or anything like that, really. Our receiver depth this year is pretty low, but our promising youngsters on the wide receiver depth chart is pretty high. So if you're Travis Toivonen, you're competing with not just Dwayne Eskridge, but you're also competing with Tamorrion Terry. You're competing with Cade Johnson. Even still Aaron Fuller, I would still put him there. I know he hasn't really done anything yet, but the odds are obviously stacked against Travis, but he will be taking the final roster spot that just came open. Okay, so OTAs. Let's go ahead and talk about what can be talked about. First, who wasn't there? Let's talk about who wasn't there because that can be about as interesting as who was there. So Brady Henderson had this tweet earlier today. Veteran Seahawks I did not see at today's OTAs. Okay, so first we have Jamal Adams, and it's not a big deal not having Jamal Adams at OTAs because he knows this defense well enough by now. It's the same defense he played in last year. It's a defense that he played very well in for the most part last year. I'm not worried about that. And it is possible that there is an ulterior motive behind his not appearing at OTAs, which I am happy to, I support because I think that what he may be looking for will be beneficial to the team as well as the player. Dwayne Brown, he also is not at OTAs, but if there's one guy on offense who doesn't need to show up, it's him because he's already 36 years old or what, I think it's 36, and he does not need to put more work on that knee than he absolutely has to. So if he doesn't want to play in the OTAs, I got no problem with that. And we also have Quandre Diggs not showing up to the OTAs so far. Now, his situation's a little bit different, but again, this is another player on defense. The defense is not changing radically this year. It's the same DC. It's the same head coach, same system. Most of the same teammates, not all. You are going to want to learn how to play with Akello. You are going to want to learn how to play with Trey Brown, but I'm not too worried about that. One thing that's interesting, though, is those first 3 players that I mentioned are all in contract years. Jamal Adams, the ulterior motive I was talking about was he may want a new contract before he shows up. And we'll find out a lot more next week when mandatory minicamps start. If Jamal Adams is not there, then we can safely assume that he's decided I'm not showing up till I get my contract, which I want him to get his contract, honestly. I think it's good for the team. I think it's good for us. I think it's good for everybody. Quandre Diggs has been kicking up a little bit of dirt about wanting an extension of his own. I don't know if he's in the cards. I don't know if we can afford to extend him. Well, I know we can afford him, but does the team think they can afford him? That I don't know. So if Quandre Diggs does not show up for any of the OTAs, because I think we have three more, and then he doesn't show up for mandatory minicamp, then we can also conclude that he may be kind of holding out for an extension, and we'll see if he can get it. I'm fine either way, honestly. And then Dwayne Brown, I don't know if he's thinking he can get an extension because of his age, but I guess it's possible. So those three guys, there's some kind of interesting stuff going on there. Then you have Chris Carson, DJ Dallas, Travis Homer. So a lot of the running backs are not there. Um, DJ Dallas got married and Travis Homer went to the wedding, so that explains that. We also have No Dunlap, Lockett, Al Woods, Benson Mayoa. All those guys are experienced veterans who have been with this team for at least a year, so I'm cool with that. And Alden Smith, who is there not there for obvious reasons. So that's pretty much it in terms of who didn't show up. Everyone else, as far as I know, is there. Very few problems with any of these guys not showing up. Carson, he is going to be part of a new offense, so it's going to be good to have him there at some point. But he's been with this team for a while. He's played with these players for a while, and because he's in the situation that he's in as a player, a good running back who can never stay healthy because he takes such a beating, you don't necessarily want to put more miles on him if you can avoid it. So fine with Carson not showing up. Obviously, DJ and Homer, they went to a wedding, so I get it. And a lot of these guys are just veterans who they know their way around. I mean, all Al Woods has to do is be fat and clog up the middle. That's not something he necessarily has to show up to training camp for. And yeah, that Alden Smith, that one's pretty obvious. But basically, everyone else is there, so that's exciting. A couple of other notes that I was able to pick up from the media and from the press conferences so far. D. Eskridge and Rashad Penny both sat out. Obviously, we're playing things very safe with Rashad Penny. And D. Eskridge, look, there's a lot of pressure on D right now, right? If we did not draft D. Eskridge, we may very well have traded for Julio Jones. So in some ways, D. Eskridge Dwayne Eskridge, but people are calling him D now. We'll see if it catches on. But in some ways, you can say that Dwayne Eskridge is the reason why we didn't go after Julio. We may have given up a little bit more to get Julio if we didn't get Eskridge. So now there's a lot on him. We definitely don't want to see anything bad happen to him. And Penny's in a contract year, so same thing there. Um, the 49ers just had two season-ending injuries in their OTAs already. Two defensive players, Tavares Moore and one other guy. Not huge players, but players that were going to play. So that gives you an idea of how cautious you want to be at this time of year, because that's obviously devastating. Jordan Brooks mentioned that he got back to a better diet this offseason, which has allowed him to slim down a little bit, which should make him a little faster, which is good because that's his greatest asset. DK Metcalf was asked about Shane Waldron's offense, and he said there are a lot of different things in Waldron's offense that people have not seen from the other two teams he's coached on. I mean, what else would he say? But it's good to hear DK say that. It's definitely something that's encouraging to me. And Metcalf also said one of the reasons why they reported to OTAs, even though they came late, the fact that they came at all was because they wanted to learn the new offense. So that's very promising to me. These players seem to be, they seem to understand what the stakes are here. They well, I don't want to say they wanted to skip all the OTAs, but the NFLPA wanted them to. So for them to decide, you know what, we need to go and we need to go and take this seriously. We need to go learn this new offense. I like that. That's probably a big part of the reason why the veterans that we have are there in the first place. Metcalf probably would not be there were it not for the new offense. Some of the offensive linemen would not be there if not for the new offense. And I think that's really about it in terms of stuff we've learned so far from this session of OTAs. The Thursday ones are going to be open to the media as well, but um, again, it's hard to say how much we're going to learn from them at this point. Um, Eskridge had been kind of the star of the show in rookie mini camps and OTAs so far. So for him to sit out today kind of took a lot of the luster off. But obviously, we're going to keep keeping an eye on things. Yeah. I think that's going to do it for this video. Those are basically the useful tidbits of information. The really interesting thing will be next week during the mandatory minicamp if Jamal Adams doesn't show up, if Quandre Diggs doesn't show up, maybe if Dwayne Brown doesn't show up too. Are those guys extension hunting? Are those guys trying to get bigger contracts? Now, again, I support Jamal doing whatever he has to do to get a new contract because we need to get him that new contract ASAP. Quandre Diggs, I can go either way on. I get it. I get it both ways. And Dwayne Brown, I don't know if he's even really thinking about that right now. He might just be thinking, I want to stay home because I'm old. All right. See you guys later tonight in stream, back on Dead by Daylight, and see you then. Peace out. Go Hawks.